we're going to be playing some of that after this series. Spawning up here in the top position, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, he is Cure. And his opponent in this team kill, he's also representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Give it up for Dark. So with this, TVZ is a pretty fun matchup. It can be very aggressive. I think Cure has kind of earned his place as maybe the 5th horseman of the Terran Apocalypse, just with how he's been playing recently. A lot of very far runs in these tournaments. And as we can see, Dark is just going to be going for that standard opening on Lightshade. He's not going to be going anything too crazy. No roaches. I think the attack path is just a little bit too steep in order to cheese on this one. But yeah, on Cure's side of things, he's just going to be getting the scout with the Reaper, and let's see where this one goes. Looks like it's just going to be a standard 1-1-1. We're going to be seeing those Hellions come on out. There's always that potential for Hellbat timings with this. That's one way that you can definitely go. I think Dark might want to catch wind of that. Obviously, he does kind of know Cure's style just because they are teammates. Getting a couple of Zerglings, though, is pretty nice. That's gonna make it a little bit harder for Dark to kind of defend this first Reaper. And, you know, from here, he just gets the third base down. Nothing too crazy. On Cure's side, though, he's going insane as we got that third CC, so he will try and stay even in terms of that economy with Dark. And the funny thing is, even getting that third CC doesn't slow you down too much, because you're still going to have the Hellions out for that bit of harassment, and you're still going to be able to get your upgrades in time. It literally just means that you have to be a little bit more careful in case of some early link floods. Behind this, though, we do have one of Dark's favorite roaches. He's got the roach warren down. So what that allows him to do is that allows him to stay safe versus the potential openings here from Cure. We see he's just going to get one kill, back on out. He hasn't actually committed to any additional Hellions just yet. There we go, kind of slowed down in that regard. But you know, he's still playing it out as a threat. Here with these couple of ones. He did get a couple of tumor snipes, I believe, forcing some extra energy out of these queens. And from here, Dark hasn't really seen what the next follow-up is. He's wondering, could it be mech? Could it be bio? Am I going to get attacked anytime soon? I don't know. Let me just make a bunch of roaches and, you know, see what happens. Like the Banshee does get spotted. There's no layer out for Dark, just a little bit later timing on that one. But now that he sees that, we see just a huge drone swell, 10 more on the production tab. So he's not committing super heavily to this push. It's just kind of there to, you know, tell Cure, okay, try and take your third base. I dare you. Roaches, though, they don't have speed, so they are at the mercy of the Sky Banshees. 3 of them will go down in very short order. Still not back on the creep just yet either, so a 4th will fall. Now he will start his upgrade soon, but I'm wondering what he's going to be going off the back of it. Looks like he is going to stay with Roach production and the Hydras as well, because what that will allow him to do is get up to that hive tech much quicker. That's kind of the power of having these Roaches, because you don't want to stay on them in the late game. They're just there as that early transition. Yes, Behemoth, land Banshees are even worse. They're also known as Karens in some states. Here we go. The Hellions going to be dancing around, cleaning up some of the creep as well. You want to start stunting that growth, as he does have that transition. He's got Stim done. Combat shields almost done. Upgrades halfway complete. But just because he's been allowed to kind of clear up that creep a little bit easier, does mean that these drops have the potential to get even closer without being spotted. And I do think the Roaches do have an idea that this is here, however, as we see kind of just dancing around this base. Here we go. Jumps right on here, gets nothing. The Hellions get in, get tumors. I gotta say, Dark hasn't really taken any damage in this game whatsoever. Kind of taking a look at the units lost. A couple of drones, maybe some of those Roaches, but overall, he's still perfectly fine. He's on 76 workers. He's on an equal army supply, though. That's a little bit interesting. But he's already got that hive up, and lurkers, and hydralisks. So he's still sitting very, very pretty. Banshee's kind of distracting Dark a little bit away, as we see Cure with his first big push out coming across. The siege tanks are sieged up. Those lurkers don't have their upgrades set just yet, but they are still a very big threat for Cure. As you can see, he's going to respect them, and he's just going to back off. I feel like the Banshees should have taken the same advice. Cure bringing his army together once again. The lurkers do have their speedy drops now. So you have to be even more careful about how you engage into this. Blinding Clouds will be used here on those siege tanks, allowing those lurkers to absolutely crush through the bio. Just not enough to take care of that. And on the other side of things, yeah, those are not going to last too long. So Dark not only holds, but he holds so strongly that Cure, I don't think, will be able to recover. Gotta be careful, though, not to throw away any sort of lead by jumping into siege tank lines. Just a little bit out of range. Much further in range, but not detected. But you know what? Dark doesn't really have any of those lurkers on the top side. He's just holding on with pure Roach, Ling. And that is so many siege tanks. Cure is going to be able to push very, very far onto this creep. He still has the high ground advantage up here as well. And with the siege tanks sieging on up, this base is forfeit. I think Dark might have overextended himself a little bit here by not having those lurkers in position. Gonna get a nice little pick off there, though, with those Vipers. But yeah, now he has to clean up this side. I think Cure should just rotate around with what's left. Couple of medevacs full of units going to stim their way forward. You know what Dark says? You know what? I'm maxed out. I can kill you now. I have good upgrades. I have good everything. And you don't really have a ton back at home. The siege tanks as well, not sieged up. So not necessarily a base race at any on any stretch of the imagination, as Cure not taking advantage of this time to move out and get some damage done of his own. He's going to lose all of those SCVs to the Lings. And Dark just pushing further and further forward. He's completely maxed out while Cure is very heavily supply blocked. So, yeah, even getting this cleaned up. See, I'm a little worried because now these lurkers are without the army. And there are ghosts here that can deal with them. I'd still say Dark is pretty far ahead, but at the same time, you know, there is always that possibility to take a bad engagement. There's so many siege tanks. How many tanks does he actually have? He's currently sitting on 9. That is very cool. Losing a lot of the lurkers as well. Cure moving his way forward, but there is still more holding down the fort. This line is so far back that it's going to be very difficult for Dark to break it, but the lurkers coming in for a little bit of a flank will get cleaned up. And now Cure takes his new 4th base. He has his 5th already ready to go. Dark is trying to secure this location, but he took so much damage right there. It's not even funny. Lurkers trying to fight without any support. The snipes are beautiful. Those will go down. This position is still completely held on. I think Cure is just trying to tighten that noose around Dark right now. Even getting that base is going to set up an impenetrable wall for him. As we see the double prong coming on in. There's still a couple of lurkers back here to hold on. Okay, he did get seismic spines. Like, I was a little bit worried that he didn't, because that would mean that he doesn't have the range on them. But now Dark's saying, you know what? You're attacking on my left, you're attacking on my right, I'm going to attack you down the middle. Whether that's the right call, I'm not 100% sure, because there's still plenty of siege tanks down here to defend, and that leaves these small lurker balls completely exposed. So now Cure, again, he's just inching his way forward with these missile turrets. That is pretty funny to see, actually. But the reinforcements coming across to finish the fight on this side. Dark supply starting to plummet in terms of that production tab. He's only making 3 lurkers at a time. That's not enough to remax by any stretch of the imagination. And I think Cure is going to finish tightening this noose on the Hangman. even losing this base I don't think is going to be the biggest of deals because he already has multiple ones ready for him. And this is a very expensive trade for Dark. I feel like Cure doesn't have to be as passive as he is being right now. I feel like he can move in a little bit closer at this time. Yeah, even just going to be spreading out the lurkers like this. All that thought, however, as Cure does get cleaned up with a lot of those Marines in the front, that's going to leave these siege tanks very well exposed. And those will start to fall, so maybe Dark is starting to make a comeback here. But in order to do so, he's got to establish these forward positions. As Cure is not going to give him the time to do so, it looks like. And to his credit, he has taken the supply lead a little bit, but now a very scrappy fight coming on in for Dark. The siege tanks in the back wailing away on this army. And the Hydras do get in range, but there's just not enough of them. The lurkers have fallen. And in terms of that bank for Dark, it is just not there. That production isn't there either. And as he cleans up this base, just never cleaned up that start. I just don't know if 13 lurkers is going to be the answer here. So now he's trying to establish this side. He's going to lose this bottom side. And here we go. Dark has to take this engagement. He has to stay alive. He has to clean up this army for Cure. But the lurkers moving a little bit too far forward. Those will start to fall. And as the siege tank rains hellfire upon him, some good splits on that bio. Going to do what they can. Looks like there's still quite a few lurkers left. But at the same time, we got that parade push coming across the map for Cure. 50 army supply lead. And this is looking like the death throes here. You just don't have enough defense. Tries to get on top of the siege tanks, but that is going to be the last thing they see. GG is called. So a beautiful start to this series for Cure. It looked dicey at some small points, but in the end, he did come down on top. And 1 second, everyone. Let me just fix something here. Just looks like we're having a little bit of a issue with our stream. Alright, just testing that right there. Good to go. That's not even the right one. That is the right one. Okay, good. As we're going to be going on to Pillars of Gold for map number 2, guys. Spawning up here in the top position, taking game number 1 in resounding fashion. Give it up for Cure. And his opponent down here in the bottom left. For Dragon Phoenix Gaming, he is Dark. Yeah, Kier, he's our man. If he can't do it, someone else can. No, but I think I kind of liked the way he played that one out. He was able to just kind of hold on versus some of that aggression from Dark. Even that big prong attack down the center of the map was just a very costly engagement. And as he tightened that noose all the time, Dark just really never had the chance to break out ever again. He wasn't able to send any lings across the map. He wasn't able to drop any lurkers in the main base or anything crazy like that. So just overall, he got crushed. This was part of the ESL Pro Tour. I believe this was the finals for number 61, if I recall correctly. I forget where we got them from. Now see, Kior going to be playing it very safe. Getting that first SCV across the map. Just needs to make sure that that spawning pool is nowhere near down. And the way you know that it's not is from the fact that that hatchery is complete. Like, looks like, though, Dark was able to finish up that spawning pool very, very quickly. A little bit faster. Not the biggest of deals, but at the same time, faster spawning pool means faster defense, and here we go. That first Reaper gonna get one drone for his trouble. Beautiful start. Now, once again, Cure is going to be dropping that third CC. And with that third CC, he's just looking to stay ahead of Dark in terms of that economy. 3 bases with mules is so good. I think it's almost equivalent to a 5-base Zerg player, if I'm being completely honest. And on this map, it's even more important because you do have these a little bit of an easier defensible location down here at the 6 o'clock position. Like he's going to be going into potentially Banshees again. I definitely don't disagree with that. Just kind of keeping that threat over there on Dark side of the map. Now from here, I definitely don't think that this is a meching map. That's for almost certain. I think from here, Cure is just going to be transitioning straight into bioplay. He just wants to keep the Hellions alive as well. Because if you're able to keep them alive, you're able to augment them into your army and just create this very powerful, scary push across the map. Even, I think, if Dark decided to go for roaches, that wouldn't even really help out too much. Now, for Dark as well, he isn't making the lair just yet. So he's been going for a little bit of a slower lair timing, just so that he can afford to get out those +1 upgrades, to get out some additional links, some additional drones. Maybe going to get that third base or fourth base a little bit quicker as well. I don't disagree with it, but it's going to be a little bit harder to defend without some sort of layer support. Okay, the Banshees do come in. The Spore Crawler going to do what it can to help out as well. But still going to get 4 drones for their cover. Cure a little bit anxious to get them out of there. Sends it straight into a Queen Wall. And that is a lot of threat away from Dark in those kills. So now Dark has full control of this map for the time being, because Cure is not out anywhere with these Hellions. There we go. Sending them back out. Keep the threat alive. So far, so good. He's looking for that dive in, but just, again, being very cautious. Doesn't want to lose these Hellions just yet while he's powering back up on to his bio follow-up. Once again, though, Dark going for that very, very fast hive. So he's going to have so much potential with that. Getting those Vipers out means you shut down any siege tanks. It means you shut down any location that Cure can move into. And this time, you know, Cure hasn't been as aggressive. He hasn't been out here on the map. He hasn't been, you know, getting rid of a lot of this creep, even though he's gotten a couple of tumors. So now this is kind of the first time that he's going to really be looking for some damage. And even then, it's still just a couple of tumors. I can't tell if that Widowmine connection was the best or the absolute worst, because it killed off a ton of Lings, but it also got a bunch of those Marines and shut down Cure once again from being out on the map. In terms of scan, oh, nope. Okay, didn't take us back too far. Sorry about that, guys. B and V are very close on the keyboard. But he still hasn't even seen the fact that Hive is now done for Dark. And in terms of his army composition, he still doesn't have a Ghost Academy. He's still just pumping out Marines. He's still just getting Drilling Claws +1 armor and only getting his +2 now. So he's going to be running a deficit here pretty soon, trying to fight onto this. A good pull right there. Going to try and get some friendly fire damage. And, you know, he's just going to pull it back. Really going to get the connections that he needs. About 4 kills on that one. And Dark is going to be looking for some damage of his own. The drop going to be cleaned up by the overwhelming swarm of Lings. Ultra's Cavern is on the way. The Marauder production still isn't really there. And he's about to lose a ton of these SCVs. So Cure forced so far back that it's not even funny for him right now. He's down over 40 supply. That's never where you want to be versus a Zerg player. And it looks like Dark is just going to say, I'm maxed out. Let's kill you. One Minds as well doing a lot of damage to almost nothing. And as this wall of Lings just swarms its way in, the Widowmines, there we go, starting to help out just a little bit. But there's still a ton of Banelings on the way. 62, 76 more Lings. And I think Cure is pretty much just dead here, as he's not mining off his third base. His fourth base still hasn't been dropped. All the SCVs in the natural are dead. Yeah, I don't see how he macros his way out of this one, and neither does he. GG is called. So Dark does tie the series up in a very convincing fashion. That kind of shows you that you don't really need too many other units here as long as you have a ton of lings and your opponent isn't ready for them. As we get third game underway, we're going into Romanticide. Come out for a romantic picnic. All you got to worry about is the flies. And by flies in this situation, I mean lings. And by picnic, I mean battle to the death for $100. As spawning up here in the top position, we have, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Cure. And his opponent down here in the bottom, also for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, give it up for Dark. And also, I'm going to go turn on a light real quick. Be right back. Alright, there we go. Thanks for that. And now Cure is being a little bit impatient. He knows that if he allows Dark to get up to that late game again, he's going to have a lot of trouble for himself. So he's just saying, I'm going to kill you now with everything I have. The reactor does go down, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to be Marines, just based off positioning. 2 racks and 3 racks Reaper aren't as powerful as they used to be. Thanks, Beyond, for that. But yeah, this is really just kind of meant to get some damage done, maybe get a kill on that natural base. If you can do that, I think you're set up pretty well, because you keep your opponent on 2 bases, and behind it, you just transition for that killing blow. As we do see those overlords nowhere near the base, so these SCVs will start to get that bunker down completely undetected. And the big question for Dark, do you defend the low ground, or do you just stay on the high ground, stay safe with what you got? He's gonna have to make that decision very, very quickly here, and it's gonna be defend the low ground as those drones are all pulled. But there are enough Marines to try and help out. Oh, good pull there by the drones, but they are going very far out for these kills. That is a lot of lost mining time. So already, Cure getting some indirect damage. He does get surrounded there, however. He let the bunker finish. Oh my goodness. Now he's just got to keep the Marines from getting into that bunker, but all the way back to these Marines. It's not looking good for Dark, no matter how you look at it. He just wasted so much mining time for that. His biggest advantage now, though, is the fact that Cure still doesn't have his own natural up in mining. But in terms of that worker count, it's 20 to 19. Now, the big problem for Dark is he still has to be a little bit careful about the Marines in the front. He doesn't know how far Cure is committing to this. I like the addition of the Reapers because while all the defense is up here in the natural, you can just go straight in and get some damage done in the main base. You know what? He's got spirit. I'll give him that. We're about to see his spirit too, by the way. Yeah, it's right there in the middle of the red stuff. Now, the Reapers do get in and get a couple of additional kills. Every kill is going to be nice for him, as Dark is just droning up quite heavily. Feels safe enough to do so, as he sends that Spine Crawler out just a little bit further. Yeah, not a one-on-one fight you'll see on Animal Planet. As we do have that third CC coming on down as Dark drops his own third hatchery now. So these guys are still going to be equal in terms of that economy. 3 base mule, like I said last game, super duper powerful. And now just the fact that there's this big threat of the Hellions hanging over his shoulder does mean that Dark has to cut drone production just a little bit, because he does need to get those lings out. So that's a lot of larva. That's not going to be in your economy. You don't really have that third base larva yet either. Yeah, here we go. Kira's just saying, okay, I'm going to go for the dive. He does get surrounded. Oh, that was not the best engagement for him. He doesn't even really kill off any of these lings. And now he has ceded full map control to Dark, who's just going to take this opportunity to send a huge ling swell across the map. Hellion push is more aggressive, or double racks is more. I think, call me crazy, but I think a Hellbat push is much more aggressive, just because it's a lot more committed than, say, the 2 racks. Just the fact that you don't drop down that third base, or that third racks, or the 4th racks, means that you can transition out of it quite easily, and it's not really a big loss if you don't get a ton of kills. You're not just dead instantly, I feel. Might not be the case for this Banshee. I don't think... Yeah. He does not have Cloak. He does not have any upgrades as well. But he is still going to be sending a small drop across the map as soon as Stim finishes. That can be pretty nice. There's no Banelings out just yet, even though he does have the nest. But mostly this is going to be to clean up some of that creep. It kind of just make sure that any further attack gets a lot further ahead before it gets spotted. Yeah, he does need to get those upgrades started soon, because the Evo chambers are down for Dark. Now the Spire has completed for Dark, so mutas are going to be the next ticket on the meal plan. So far, I really don't think Kira has any idea about that, because where's the Spire? In a very nice hidden position. That's a very tricky spot to kind of scout into. So he's just pumping out a bunch of siege tanks, and this is still a scary spot. You still have these small rocks that now Dark is going to try and get rid of. But here we go. Akira going to keep some of those Marines back just in case of the surround. Has to be careful, though, because there are a ton of Queens out. And the Banelings as well are starting to grow and grow and grow. That does mean that there's a nice little opening for these mutas to get out completely undetected. He got the missile turret started just now, but I don't think that's going to be finished in time, as Dark does finish. Okay. He saves it. Nice, nice. Just getting a little bit of a scout around. The Mutos have come back home to finish this push off. In terms of that army supply, it's actually completely even, but a lot of Kier's army supply is back at home. Some good focus fire on those siege tanks on top of the banelings, but that is just not going to be enough. Kior gets cleaned up, but his second army is already ready across the map. A bit of an awkward positioning right there, but the Mutas, oh no, that was the worst place for them to go. Scan's going to go down, cleaning up a lot of this creep as well, opening up this siege tank position over by the rocks. And now Kier is just going to be going for a little bit of a noose tightening in order to win this game number 3. The question is, can he do it? I think that's what's on everyone's mind. It looks like Dark is getting ready for a huge surround as the Mutas inching their way forward, looking for some juicy medevac pickoffs. Zerg printer does go burr. And here we go. The printer has spilled over, and it looks like there is no ink required, as Dark is going to be able to push this back. The Baneling count, however, not high enough to deal with the reinforcements. So while Kier is behind in terms of that army supply, he is still able to push this forward. Ooh, have to be careful for this choke point, however. Some beautiful splits. And from here, it's very important to see that Dark does not have his +2 upgrades coming at any point in this. He is just making pure Ling, pure Muta, and 2 to 3 Banelings. He will lose his 4th base. He will lose this position down here at the bottom. And now he is desperate to keep this 4th alive. Otherwise, he's going to fall way too far behind. Nice little run by, but that will be cleaned up. Again, these upgrades are just going to start to stack. And the Muta's doing a really good job of picking off some of these reinforcements. Good save on that siege tank, as the Thor is about to pop as well. Just got to be careful not to lose too many of these supply depots, or you will get supply blocked. Looks like he loses this base. It's kind of like whack-a-mole a little bit, because he kills this base and Dark is up here already setting down his next one. But now it is a 3-base Zerg versus a 3-base Terran. Oh, he's got to get this 4th base for sure. Thor is here. That was actually a kill, by the way, not a cancel. Now Kier just kind of rotating around, looking for more and more damage where he can find it. I think the one thing keeping Dark alive right now is the fact that that Muta Ball is really hard to deal with the amount of Marines that he has. Looking at those +2 upgrades, he's definitely prioritizing the Mutas as well, as he does have that +2 almost complete. But look at that. +3 is on the way. With Lingbane Muta, you have to stay on it for a long time. Looks like some Banelings did make it in. What am I? So now Dark, he's maxed out again. Still no hive, still no infestation pit. Banelings, while they're very cheap gas-wise, quote-unquote, the fact that you're making 20 at a time kind of minimizes the savings, essentially. Being on top of the gas geyser, might want to focus down some of these missile turrets. The Marines not really reacting to this, but the Thor is brought down and gets a juicy, juicy connection before getting completely obliterated in the face. So now Kier, he's taking a step back, you know? He's kind of just trying to decide, you know what, why are we fighting? Zerg, Terran, we're all the same. You're just a bunch of bugs, and I'm a bunch of Terran. So trying to take a little bit more of a passive approach to winning this one out. I kind of like that. If he was too aggressive right now, throwing away units to the Mutaball, he'd be in a lot more trouble. Good catch. Very good catch. But yeah, if he just maxes out and goes for a big push with all the Thors, with all the, with his +3 upgrade advantage, even going to get Neo Diamond upgrades there just because he runs out of +3 upgrades. I think he would be able to win this game. Might even just want to not bother with these Mutalisks. Oh, those Widow Mines. So deadly. One good connection. Needs the second one to finish it off. This is a peak human body. You may not think it, but this is what perfection looks like. All right, there we go. Kier is maxed out. He's going for two very, very different attacks here. This one with siege tanks. These ones with Thor Widow Mines. The Mutas will be able to get a good connection, take out one of those siege tanks. But this is all just a bit of a distraction. Dark, however, says, you want to distract me? I'll just kill you. I don't care how you distract me. But that Thor getting a beautiful connection on all of these Mutalisks, and they are starting to fall. Oh my gosh. And that was not good by any stretch of the imagination for Dark there. How many Mutas has he lost? 26. 26 Mutas have gone down, replacing them with 13 additional. But now that's going to be the trigger for Cure to say, I'm going to go kill you. Oh, 36 more Banelings on the production tab. The Marines and the Marauders in the front, rather, going to try and soak up some of those Banelings, but Dark is smarter than that. He's going to go straight for the Marines in the backfield. And now Cure being a little bit patient, a little bit too patient, I'd imagine. Moving forward, just giving a lot of time for Dark to max out. Here we go. Dark just getting the wraparound off the creep. The splits are okay, but the Banelings still getting beautiful connections. It looks like there's still quite a few Marines in the backfield, but Dark is still almost maxed out. And 76-21, oh my goodness. Those are numbers you should only see on a math test, not in a TVZ. Just even able to pull this, pull these mine shots away means they're not going to be too effective. That one's okay, but still not enough as the Lings just swelling the way forward. And it looks like Dark has enough to finish this one out. One big Remax, one big Baneling drop, and that would be it for Cure, who is mined out of his third. Excuse me, he's mined out on his main. He's almost mined out on his third. His natural is looking pretty dry. He's got 2 bases, and they're not really peak efficiency. Yeah, here we go. He's going to try and fight straight into the Mutaball, splitting backwards, just trying to get rid of some of those Banelings before he engages for real. But Dark is just an overwhelming force. Come to think of it, decent splits, but no more Thors. He's still only on Marine Marauder right now. So what that means is that there's no Ghost, there's no real thing for the Ultralisks to deal with the Ultralisks, that is. Yeah, scan going down. He recognizes that he is in a lot of trouble. He's still gonna play it out, however. You don't want to go down in a game like this. Trying to establish that forward position as well. I think that was... Oh, no, that is a fresh orbital, not his main base. Gonna set up the Liberators, but there's nothing covering for them in the air anymore. As that goes down, he's going for one last big huzzah, as he is skint broke in this game. The Lings coming home, getting a full wraparound. Lifting up into the medevacs, but those will fall to the splash damage. GG. Dark. Drowns out the light. Oh, man. Oh, man. Up to match point for Dark. Can he finish things out? Can he construct the perfect army to finish this one? And can we get to the next game and stop making metaphors asking what Dark can do? Yes, we can, to all three of them. As spawning up here in the top position. He is getting closer and closer to closing this one down. Give it up for Dark. And his opponent hanging out in the bottom. Same team, same series, different game. Give it up for Cure. Okay. So that's a good start. The first building is exactly where it should be. Nothing going to be, you know, at this point, Cure can't risk sacrificing any more games. He is at the last stage. This is the finals of the tournament that it's in. So there is no point in throwing away that fresh $100 bill. You know how much a $100 bill can buy you if you live in Korea? And that's at least lunch for a week. Maybe even 2 if you're very frugal and eat nothing but ramen noodles like a college kid. But as for Dark, he's not going for anything too crazy either. We kind of saw that once he's just allowed into that late game situation where he can just remax very, very quickly and just pump out whatever he wants, then he wins. That's the kind of player that he is. He can play it very safe, but when he decides to get aggressive, he knows he's going to kill you. It's kind of like the AI settings in SE2. Because if you play against the AI, it will not attack you unless it knows for a fact that it can win the fight. And that's kind of how Dark is. Like the Reaper is just going to barely miss the third base going down as well. So he'll just go for a little consolation prize. Maybe just try and dance with the Lings. See if he can get a drone, but I doubt Dark is going to let him. Some really good pullback there from Dark. Just trying to save what he can, but some focus fire to follow that up. 2 Lings will go down, denying just little millisecond of time with that KDA charge on that one drone as well. Again, gonna be getting that third CC up and out. That is very good. From here, he's just building up. A little bit of a lull in the action, as you might say. And it's kind of to be expected until about the 5-minute mark when Kier will be out with those Hellions and just trying to kind of poke back a lot of that creep. But you know what doesn't get poked back? I do gotta mention these guys. Conqueror's Blade is sponsoring these replays today, so if you want to join in online sea battles, creating warlords with over 65 plus diverse units in melee, ranged, and cavalry that inspired by history's greatest military forces, why don't you join forces with tons of different players all over the world, make alliances with your friends and your rival players, and come check out Conqueror's Blade. If you use our code, you know what? You're going to get a fantastic offer, 7 days of premium. And speaking of premium, we've got some very fast Evo chambers coming down for Dark. So just trying to stay fully ahead from those. He might be going for a very big attack. That's the only reason I see those Evo chambers being super important early on. Oh, you know what? That's going to be even better because we do have that armory coming down. Hellbats are going to be coming across the map. And you know what beats Hellbats? Upgrades. As funny as it sounds, those +1 lings are going to be doing so much damage versus this. You just got to be careful not to sacrifice these Hellions for this next attack. There we go. Dark still has no idea that this is coming. And the fact that it's a little bit later as well means it's a little bit more committed for Kior. Double Banshees as well, just going to be bringing up the rear. Scan going to go down, cleaning up some of that creep and the 4th base. As we see him inching his way forward. 14 more lings. Baneling Nest comes down. And here we go. Already the Queens. Cleaning up a lot of this, but they are starting to fall. Some of those Hellbats in the backfield not fighting, though. That's taking a lot of punch out of this fight. Just going to go straight for the mineral line. I think I like that a little bit better. You've invested a lot into this. You've committed a lot into this. And so Dark has to clean this up. Now, granted, he's able to clean this up. He was able to survive while only getting about 3 drones killed. That's not the worst case situation for him, but he did kind of delay his drone production very heavily in order to defend that. You can kind of take a look. His larva count, not really that high. He's only on 58 workers to the 60 of the 3 base Cure. And now Cure is still just playing around with these Hellions, making an even bigger threat. So you can't heavily drone safely up to that nice 80 to 90 worker count. Here we go once again, just finding more room. Now he has Stim, so this is a lot more deadly for him. The 4th base is under complete fire. There are Banelings, but they are slow. Some good splits as well, going to mitigate a lot of that damage. And now the Hellbats guy just deciding, hey, I don't have to finish you off here. I can back off. Losing about 7 drones. A little bit cost effective, but again, the point of a Hellbat push is mostly just to slow things down. Here we go. Once again, though, the Hellbats gonna morph on in. The Banelings now do have +1, and they do have speed. The +1 upgrades of Cure, super far behind. I like how Cure is just continuously putting on this pressure. He's still like forcing Dark to defend. But yeah, as time goes on, Dark doesn't need to make any more workers, so he's just going to be able to pump out these Lings, pump out these Hydralisks, maybe even go up to Lurkers when he so chooses. It's all going to come down to this next couple of pushes as Cure going to be moving forward once again with the Hellions, not morphing them into Hellbats just yet. Is he going? He's going like semi-mech. Oof, getting cleaned up there as well. The medevac going down full of units. And the lone survivor is 3 Marines. So the threat on the left side dealt with. Dark can turn his attention down here to the bottom. Looks like he does have that Lurker Den coming down. Should be starting up Hive right about... He wants to. I know he wants to. There we go. And he's ahead on the upgrades, may I remind you. So, like, any fight Cure take is not going to be as efficient as he would like it. So I think he's just got to slow down a little bit, get up that siege tank count, and that's kind of what he's doing with 4 on the production tab. For anyone wondering, that is an insane amount of siege tanks. And then just go for one big, greedy, aggressive push. These small little attacks are just going to get worse and worse as you trade out those units. And you're going to give so much space for Dark. So Dark does clean up at this side. The Hydralisks... Okay, he did get speed. I was a little bit worried because Hydralisks always look so slow, even with speed off of the creep. Now he's just kind of slowly pushing that forward while he gets that Lurker count nice and high. He hasn't started him just yet, but he's waiting for Ventral Sacs. Or, not Ventral Sacs, but, Ventral Spines, or whatever it's called. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. A maxed out Cure, though. Getting straight to the edge of creep. And this is a cinematic if I've ever seen one. Dark going to be pressing forward. The Banelings rolling right on in, but a lot of them getting expended on those siege tanks. He's going to have to stay back here, and I don't know if he has enough on this side to defend this drop. A little bit sloppy there from Dark, not focus firing down the Marines. But it looks like he will be able to hold down the fort with the Lurkers and the Queens. Ventral Spines, thank you. So now Cure is still maxed out. He is still in control of this position. Dark says, you know what? You can have it. You don't have that much at home, do you? Even then, fighting a little bit out of range from his siege tanks as well. A lot of those Marines starting to go down. His third base completely under fire. I don't think he's going to worry about that too much since he does have his 4th and 5th base ready to roll. But he is supply blocked quite heavily. You know what I just noticed? Dark has only 2 Vipers. And that's kind of why he's losing these fights. A bit worse because he's trying to fight into the siege tanks rather than playing it a little bit smarter and getting the Vipers down for the blinding clouds. Now, Cure, once again, just going to be rotating around in multiple locations. That's kind of the power of having so many siege tanks. still 2 more siege tanks on that production tab. And here we go. He's going to dance on the edge of creep. Once again, going to get a good, healthy kill up here in the top left corner as well. But he is just going to pounce on this. That's the blinding clouds that he needed. All those siege tanks are going to go down. That was a lot cleaner of an engagement for him. Bailings rolling are cute. Yeah, they're a little bit cute. They're like an armadillo in an old-timey cartoon. Except, you know, they explode if they touch you. Which, I mean, happens as well if you hit an armadillo with a car. It kind of explodes as well, but that's a different thing. And not talking about animal abuse, as Kier once again trying to make his way forward. The lurkers are down in position, and we do have the spines ready to go. As the blinding cloud's going to clean up a lot of these siege tanks. Cure just not in position to deal with this. And he is forced back quite handily, although his drop is still getting a little bit of damage done in the top corner. Now Dark is recognizing that he might have an angle to get in there. Look at those siege tanks fall. Just trying to divvy up Cure's forces and maybe set him away from that third base. He's going to get on top of all these siege tanks morphing on in, but they will get a couple of shots off. And now he's still sieged up with these guys, but his production is under threat. And you know what Cure says? That is going to be it. GG.